Yo folks, welcome to the channel. In today's video, I'll be talking about my top 5 favorite things about Xianzhou Luofu, the newest region in Honkai Star Rail. Just note, this is from the beta, so things might change, but let's jump right into this. First things are going to be the newest characters added in the region. First up is going to be Bailu. She's going to be an adorable little healer that can remedy almost any ailment, and she's going to be one of the more prominent figures in the Xianzhou region. Now, one thing to note, the reason why she's coveted is because, one, a healer is going to be highly meta-driven in Honkai Star Rail, so she can plug and play on any team. But most of all, in the story, there's going to be a lot of people with sicknesses, and Bailu is just going to be the only healer, or at least the best one in the Xianzhou region. Now, another thing to note, there's going to be the supporting cast with like Jing Yuan, Yang King, Su Shang, Queen Mi, and Ting Yun. There's going to be a lot of amazing units. Now, one thing to note is that their designs are really different from Belobog City or people like Branya, Kokalia, and more. And the reason for that is because the region is more free-flowing, it's more for commerce, trade, this, that, and the third. And what's really nice is that there's going to be a lot more variety in colors. It's not as bogged down. It's just like light and blues. There's going to be like reds, yellows, just a variety of different things, which I think is really cool. And one of my favorite units is going to be Yang Qing. I think I'm saying that right. He's going to be like the freeze blade sort of unit, and he's going to be part of the hunt. And the reason why I like the hunt in this game in particular is they're going to be the single DPS oriented characters. And single DPS oriented characters, they deal the highest damage. You'll see them dealing like 30Ks, 5Ks, 4Ks, just much higher damage than any of the other units. So Yang Qing being one of my favorites. I'm sure there's going to be other hunt characters that are going to be released, such as Su Shang, who's really good as well. But look out for those as playable units who are going to be really fun in the Xianzhou region. We'll do like metas and tier lists on a different video. Next up is going to be the area. How does it feel to be in, Xianzhou, a different place? So it's going to be a port city. It's also bigger than the planet of Jarilo, which houses the city of Belobog, which is really insane to think about. And another thing is that the region is comprised of amazing landscapes such as like floating towers, temples, structures that just don't seem conceivable in like the normal world because of course we're in space, but also shows how like the free trade, and it's just more of a busy city is what I'm trying to say in the Xianzhou region. Another thing to note is that the giant gate that governs like the greater space as you're coming into the Xianzhou region, I think it's totally epic. It's something that sort of like just jaw drops me every single time I see it. Like Belobog had really beautiful landscapes and just sort of an eerie feeling, where Xianzhou just feels epic and welcoming, at the same time very large in scale. Now, one thing to note is that there's 6 ruling powers in like the region of Xianzhou. Another thing is that this is a port ship. So this is actually a floating ship that's going throughout the areas, and it's going to be a trading hub, and it's existed for 8,000 years. The fact that this thing has existed for 8,000 years and they've never had any issues with the Stellaron hunters or just the Stellaron in general or the Aeon or this, that, and the third, and they've just coexisted with like all the adversities, it's really crazy just to think about. And not to mention, it really feels alive compared to Belobog, the city, because a lot of the NPCs are going to be walking around, there's kids, there's just a lot more trade, there's soldiers who don't look like they want to eat your face because the Belobog soldiers were kind of aggressive. In this one, they're not so aggressive, they're just trying to make sure that the peace is set about throughout the cities. And honestly, it's just really nice to see that, not everything's falling apart in the world of Honkai or universe of Honkai Star Rail. Next up are going to be the enemy types that you're going to be facing. What's really interesting is there's going to be soldiers, which you've seen already, but animals, and not to mention inanimate objects such as gates that we're going to be facing. And one enemy type I found interesting was the goldfish that could breathe fire. So obviously goldfish are more water aligned, and them being able to breathe fire and cause explosions, this, that, and the third. There's obviously a lot of design decisions that are greatly different, and you're going to be like tilting your head a lot, being like, what the heck is going on in the world of Honkai Star Rail? And another thing that really tilted my head was the gate that we had to face. This was actually gating me from content because that thing was so powerful. What happened was he would be able to stun lock some of my characters, and then he'd be able to summon those goldfish that would breathe fire and explode. And because I didn't have team synergy with like, you know, because there's different enemy types in the Xianzhou region, they're more weak to like quantum and imaginary, which I don't have yet. I need to, you know, hopefully they'll provide imaginary units. They did provide a quantum unit, who I should probably be using, but I'm being a little stubborn on that front. But it's probably one of those things where we get free units provided to us, making Xianzhou, of course, another region that's going to be free-to-play friendly and giving us the characters we need in order to tackle the story. I just really like that about the Xianzhou region, because even though we're introduced with new enemy types and new challenges, we of course get new supporting casts and characters that will help us out in order to alleviate those problems. So speaking of the enemy dudes, they are just really difficult. I thought it was going to be the same thing, standard soldiers, standard like centaur dudes, and like the little hippo looking guy who's going to stall us. Nope. It was an entirely different enemy type, and it was just a new, nice, welcome challenge. And of course, Kafka being one of the endgame bosses, really cool. Her designs and voice acting and her animations and ultimates were updated. It was just nice, and not to mention like the characters Fushong and Jing Yuan like actually operates in the city was really cool. Next up, of course, are going to be the puzzles. It's another favorite of mine throughout the region. There's going to be like Rubik's Cube sort of things, and you're gonna have to like figure it out. That way you can solve the chest and get the gear. Gear is gonna be really important, and there is gonna be different gear introduced in the Xianzhou region. We can talk about that in a different video. It's not that important. But another thing, there's gonna be like the constellation clocks, which is another thing you can open chest up. And of course, the Xianzhou region is more labyrinth-like because it's a port city. There's going to be a lot of containers and blocks that you can move around in order to navigate throughout the city, which I found really interesting. Also a little bit frustrating because I got lost a couple of times, so look out for that as you're exploring the city of Xianzhou. And I have to cover it, my last and favorite part of the Xianzhou region is going to be D-Ting. He's gonna be a little like lion dog dude, or miniature lion dog that you can, you know, have with you throughout your adventures. He was really cute. I could tell that they put a lot more animation into this little guy, and I loved him. Please let me have a cosmetic sort of thing to have D-Ting walk behind me, because one thing you know, after I went through my fights with Kafka, I was presented with like, hey, you won. You got like a thing for D-Ting, and I thought it was going to be a little like cosmetic skin. It wasn't. It was just a PFP picture, and I was really disappointed. So, Honkai Star Rail devs, if you can one day add D-Ting, I know it's not high up on the pipeline, it just made me really happy that we had a cute miniature dog that could follow us around. And I was hoping he could follow us around for like, you know, other portions. He doesn't have to do like, his main function is he can detect anomalies in the region of Xianzhou, but he could just walk around with us and just be a nice little companion. Like having a companion in Honkai Star Rail just feels needed amidst like all the political chaos that's going to be occurring in the Xianzhou region. But yeah, those are my top 5 favorite things for the Xianzhou area. I really loved it. I would greatly recommend it. There's going to be a link in the description in case you guys want to check out Honkai Star Rail and pre-register. Definitely one of my favorite turn-based RPGs, and Xianzhou is just filled with a lot of surprises. I'm sure there's going to be more things that you guys can discover or just take aback by viewing the video and stuff. Just let me know in case you guys have any further questions. We're going to be making more videos. But anyways, if you made this far in today's video, consider subscribing, dropping a like, leaving a comment, follow me on Twitch, follow me on Twitter, follow me on Instagram if you want to see what I do, like IRL, workouts, and all that stuff. Once we have 40K plus, we're doing a giveaway. Thanks so much for watching. Have yourself a fantastic day, and see you guys in the next one.